Well, stop me if you've heard this from us before, but guess what? Corbin Carroll is back! Ski and welcome into another edition of the PHNX D-Backs podcast, brought to you by our friends at Bet365. Of course, you know it's never ordinary at Bet365. Make sure to sign up, use our code of Bet365 or PHNX365 when you do. Choose your offer and find out once again why it's never ordinary over there at Bet365. And of course, it is never ordinary watching an Arizona Diamondbacks game or a Corbin Carroll season, I guess. Damon, what the hell did we just witness tonight? Of course, welcome in PHNX D-Backs. My name is Derek Montilla, occasionally known as the rightful and probably forever mayor of PHNX. This man next to me is the people's producer himself, Damon Dog. And holy shit, Corbin Carroll is back.
Yeah, I mean, we've been waiting for it all season, I think, Derek, with the guy we kept likening it to, right, is J-Rod on the Mariners. He had a really, really bad sophomore season. He was slumping, worse than Corbin probably even was, and then just went on a tear where he was the best hitter in baseball for a month, 2 months straight to end the year. Hope that looks like what we're seeing with Corbin Carroll right now, to be honest with you.
It's crazy. Diamondbacks win tonight by a score of 8-5. Of course, they have just been very, very good at baseball. Damon, very good at baseball, improved to 76 and 57. Their 21 wins since July 29th continues to lead MLB. And since August 1st, the D-backs lead the majors with 26 such occurrences where they scored 2+ runs or more in the 6th inning or later. Diamondbacks did that tonight on Corbin Carroll's second career grand slam in his big 2 home run night. This man just became, if not already a Diamondbacks legend, a solidified Diamondbacks legend. He hit home runs number 16 and 17 tonight. The D-backs 28 games with 2+ home runs or more are the most in Major League Baseball.
This offense is the best offense in baseball, Derek. That's not surprising. I feel like every offensive stat you'll run down, you would be like, they're at the top or they're top 5. I mean, that's
especially since July, right? Especially since
nothing new.
Started July, right? Like July 7th, that is a very important date that we bring up quite often around here, but it felt like a pivotal time where a lot of things changed for the Diamondbacks. A lot of things changed for Gino and Corbin. Corbin has 14 home runs now since July 7th. Damon's future bet of Corbin Carroll hitting, what was it, 22 and a half home runs? Oh, right? It was dead. It was dead in June. We got through a month of June where he did not hit a single home run, and it was a dead bet. But here we are.
I wanted it out of my face.
Right. Yeah, because it's there every day. Every time you open up the app, it's up there at the top.
I have a new message, Derek. We want 18. That's all we care about. We're on to the next one.
On to the next one. We get 16, we get 17, and we go on to the next one. His home run in the 4th inning was his longest career home run at Chase Field, and the second longest of his career. That very, very hard hit ball went 440 feet. Corbin is back. Corbin's back. He's swinging with one hand. He's doing the thing. His eyes light up when you're looking at the replay in slow motion. His eyes absolutely lit up at that ball that he hit off of Edwin Diaz. Edwin Diaz had absolutely nothing for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Talk about a waste of $19.7 million. That man came into the fucking ball game and stunk up the joint, man.
Yeah, I mean, Edwin Diaz was not good. He was all over the place for the first part of the inning. Got some walks. The Diamondbacks got a lot of people on base, and then Corbin is just the baseball is a volleyball right now. It looks huge.
Right.
Like it didn't even look like he even like connected with it that well. He got really under it, but he hit it so hard that it just kept carrying. And I feel special again. Corbin Carroll's back in my life in MVP form. And this
Yeah.
is everything I'd ever dreamed of the
It's
entire
like
season.
you have these nights where you just can't sleep, and you don't really know why your mind is racing. You're sitting there in bed. You're like, why, what is wrong with me? And it's nothing. There's nothing wrong with you. It's what was wrong with Corbin Carroll. That's what your mind was focused on. What is wrong with our Corbs, and how can we get him right? And of course, this is just a big night for Corbin Carroll. Big night for this team. Things, of course, they went up early. Jock Peterson, who had a tremendous walk where he feigned bunting a couple of times and got on base, which was tremendous to see. He had a big smile on his face after that. He hit a home run in this one. His 2 home run in the third was his 21st of the season. He helped put the Diamondbacks up more. Their first run of the game came from a Luis Guillorme incredible at bat where he just battled in that at bat and got the Diamondbacks first run there in the second inning. But the Mets battled back. Eduardo Rodriguez, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happens in these terrible 5th innings against the Mets. This is a throw, right? Where shit just fell apart for the Diamondbacks. Eduardo Rodriguez, he was cruising. He threw his fastball and his changeup well. He was got 8 whiffs. He did not allow a hit or a base runner through the first 4 innings. But then when he got into that 5th inning, things just fell apart.
Yeah, when I was watching the game, what I was thinking was like, I feel like we shouldn't be in an Eduardo Rodriguez start and when he has 0 runs given up and be like, this is a gem that he's going to throw. Because I don't think he's that guy really.
Right.
I think he's kind of the guy who's going to give up 3, 4 pretty much every game, but he's going to keep you in the baseball game every single game. Like that's what they signed him for. He's not going to. I don't think he's that high end stuff kind of guy.
I don't know. Zach here might be onto something. He says it's because Steve said he was throwing a perfect game.
Well,
Jinx
Steve loves it. But to be fair, Steve also brought up the grand slams, leading baseball in grand slams when Corbin walked up to the plate. So he set that moment up pretty well. And I was during the time I was ready to crucify him for it, but he got it right. So, props to Steve on that one.
Great question from Tyler Hurd, known troublemaker. Tyler says, why is Derek not at the ballpark with Jesse? Well, because there were already people demanding that we start this show. Do I need to go through some of those early messages that maybe you guys don't think we see, but I totally saw where you guys are like, get the show on the road. Let's get going. Do you know how long it would take to start? Do you know how long it takes for Jesse to be here? That wouldn't even be when we would start. I don't even know when we would get our shit together if somebody wasn't here already getting the show going. But you
thought we started late today. If Derek was at the ballpark with Jesse, we'd be getting post-game shows until 12 a.m. every single day.
You'd be midnight would be the earliest you would see us around here. But again, there were a lot of very encouraging things about Erod's start tonight. 5 and third innings pitch, 5 hits, 5 earned runs that all came there in that 5th inning. 1 walk, 5 strikeouts for him. So not a pretty line, not a great outing, but he looked great for a considerable portion of it. He really did.
Yeah. I mean, he really, I think he's a great pitcher. Like it's so much better than what we had at the beginning of the season where we were like, maybe Slade can give us a good start here or there.
Yeah.
Like Tommy Henry, what do you say, big guy? But now we if Erod's going to go out there every game and give you a solid outing, a 6 innings pitch, 3 runs given up, like it's hard to ask much more out of your 3-4 starter. And I'm happy with that kind of performance. I know it kind of fell apart, but I kind of think Torey should have taken him out before the 6th inning there before he let it become a 5-4 game. Yeah. I mean, he clearly lost it the inning before. And I was like, that's enough of Erod tonight. But Torey kept him out there. We lost the lead, and then the bullpen shut it down.
The bullpen absolutely shut it down. 3 2/3 innings pitch, scoreless, and they can just continue to do it. I mean, Ginkel came in and he was huge, trying to get out of that inning. He allowed 2 strikeouts in an inning and 2/3 innings pitched. Ryan Thompson gets 1 hit 1 strikeout in his inning pitched, and then J Mart comes in and closes things out with his 1 inning pitch and 1 strikeout. So I mean, this was just another stellar performance by the bullpen that kept the Diamondbacks in it. Obviously, a big part of the team being able to come back is that even when they were down 5-4, right? That's still a close game, and you still mentally feel like you're within shouting distance of coming back and taking the lead back yourself. They did that. And Corbin Carroll, again, I mean, I don't know what to say about, how good he's been, but 14 home runs in, July 7th. So we're talking about a month and 3 weeks. Like, that's just a wild amount of power from him, considering, that we're talking about 2 home runs prior to that,
Yeah, I mean, the stat's insane. Like, he was on a absolute stinker of a season, if we're calling it like it is. Like, it was the power numbers were just not there whatsoever. And then he started to find his doubles and his triples back a little bit about halfway through the year, but he still wasn't hitting the home runs. And then now everything is going over the wall for him. So, I mean, if like what I was envisioning was, if Corbin's going to play like this at that MVP level we had him last season, then when Ketel comes back, and if he comes back, firing like he has been all season, the Diamondbacks now have 2 of the best hitters in baseball in their lineup again. And that doesn't include Christian Walker and Gabby Moreno and guys like that as well. So, I mean, I think this lineup it's already the best lineup in baseball, throughout the season. I think or at least the NL has the most runs scored. With Ketel coming back, it could be, extremely dangerous in the postseason.
Our guy Piece of Yoshi says Keith was crucifying ADC on the SNY feed. I'm
That made
guessing
me sick.
For the tag at home.
Yeah.
That was a good throw by Lourdes. We don't see that.
Unreal throw by Lourdes. The best throw we've seen this season, I would say.
Yeah.
And I'm the most critical of anybody out of this D-backs outfield's arm. But like, Lourdes has the best arm in terms of power. That's like quantifiable. But he's just really inaccurate. And that was the most accurate throw he's had all year. And ADC, it was just kind of a lazy tag, I feel like. Like, if he stuck with that play the whole way, that's an easy out.
Yeah. Maze Devil's right, by the way. J Mart with Savior is very fitting. I think somebody else in the chat, Michael Rokicki, said, can we talk about J Mart's entrance music? Electric. It's electric. And very fitting. Message received, J Mart, because he has been the savior, right? Like, I don't think Jesse asking the question at Torey's press conference yesterday was out of line. And I thought it was odd that Torey was so committed to saying that he's not ready to name Justin Martinez the closer of this team, when his actions clearly show that Justin Martinez is the closer of this team, right? Like, I get it, because of the idea that, especially as you get into the playoffs, you probably feel more comfortable with a veteran in there, someone of Paul Sewald's caliber in there, in those moments. But the reality is, Paul Sewald is not what he's been, and J Mart is filthy. That's the reality of the matter. And J Mart is getting the experience now, right? Where those big moments aren't closing in on him so much. They're not so overwhelming for him. And it feels like he's done a better job at handling those moments.
I had the same reaction while I was watching, where I was like, why are we still doing this with the whole J Mart Sewald situation at this point? Yeah. Like, Torey said yesterday, what was it? His best bullpen that he envisions for the Diamondbacks is Paul Sewald closing games down in the 9th. He said that yesterday. I mean, I just don't understand how we could get at this point. I brought it up to you yesterday after our post-game show, because I heard that for the first time. What benefit does that have for the Diamondbacks? Because in the current, Justin Martinez is better than Paul Sewald. Projecting for the future, Justin Martinez is better than Paul Sewald. So, because Paul Sewald's 34 years old, Justin Martinez is 23. He just turned 23. Yeah. So, I mean, like, it makes no sense in any regard for the future or for the current to keep having Sewald groomed for this role. And it's not something that I just can't wrap my head around it at all.
No, I mean, and most people can't. It's kind of like, I feel like we keep having these discussions. There's just these times where there is somebody that is supposed to be the guy in that role. There's another player that is playing better than them, outperforming them. They're struggling, and there's no reason why not to go with the guy that's performing better consistently. It's not a small sample size any longer, right? You're looking at Justin Martinez's performances throughout the year. You look at Ryan Nelson's performances over the last 2 months, right? These are two guys that absolutely played their way into earning that playing time. It's not just like oh, hey, look at this one outing that he had that was incredible. Let's make this guy our closer. No, Justin Martinez is, as Torey said, he was the guy that everybody at the All-Star game was asking him about. He's the guy that every manager and player comes up to him and speaks to him about. Like, he's oddly this anomaly that everybody can recognize has some of the most incredible stuff they've ever seen out of a pitcher, especially a 22, 23-year-old kid, right?
Yep.
And yet, the hesitance is there to not just go with Justin Martinez. Now, lips are moving, but actions are something else, right? And Torey might say that he's not the closer. It doesn't mean that he's not the closer, and he's not coming in high leverage situations in the ninth inning and shutting the game down. So maybe it's a ploy by Torey to not overwhelm Justin Martinez. Maybe that title, it might be something that might be a little too much. Maybe that's something that Torey feels like. Maybe that title is something too much for somebody of Justin Martinez's age to handle, because then that means you're the guy, right? Like, so I'll give Lovullo credit for one thing, and that is managing young players, right?
Sure.
Every young player that comes up from AAA happens to have some sort of, even if it's a short stretch, of just being incredible when they make their major league debut, right? You have all of these guys that come up, Yilber Diaz, Justin Martinez, Adrian Del Castillo, right? Like, there's something to be said about the fact that Torey knows how to at least handle the mentality of that adjustment, that leap from being a minor leaguer to making your debut and playing in Major League Baseball, right? And so I trust him there with that. And there might be something to that, right? Of not officially naming him, but still naming him that,
I see what you're saying, and I hope that's the case. But what my mind goes to automatically is, well, why is he saying the thing about how he envisions his perfect bullpen or his best bullpen down the line? Like, there's no need to throw that part in there, though.
There is that, like, it's almost twofold, right? Because on one hand, you're not overwhelming Justin Martinez with the idea that he's the closer, he's the guy, and you're also inspiring a guy that you believe in still in Paul Sewald, and you're saying publicly that you believe in him and that you feel like he's going to one day come back to being your closer role. There ain't much time left, right? Like, I mean, Paul Sewald isn't the closer of the future. Paul Sewald most likely isn't a member of this team beyond this season. But that doesn't mean that Torey doesn't want to try to get some sort of value out of Paul Sewald between now and when he's no longer part of this team, right?
I don't want to see Paul Sewald in high leverage situations.
You say that
ever again for the rest of the season.
You say that, but if he returns to being the Paul Sewald that he was, you do, right? Like, you just want to see that. I agree with
J Mart.
No, that I agree with. Not over J Mart, but that's not necessarily the only place where he could have value coming out of the bullpen, right?
Like we said it a little bit earlier, or someone said it in the chat earlier. Like, J Mart comes in the game in the ninth inning, and people are like, "Oh shit, that's the guy who throws 100 miles per hour with a nasty splitter," and like it just drops out of his seat, and you don't know how to read that at all. And then when Paul Sewald comes into the game in the ninth inning, people go, "Oh sweet, 93 miles per hour, 92 miles per hour up in the zone."
2 pitches that he throws.
It's just a completely different mentality between the two guys. One of them puts fear into a hitter like a closer ideally should. And Paul Sewald he doesn't have that. And
that's fine. But that's not where Paul Sewald needs to have value necessarily.
We'll see.
Again, we've already seen it from Torey, where his words say one thing, but his actions show something else, right? And at times, I feel like he's managing more than just a baseball team. He's managing like these things becoming bigger news stories, and he's managing, the clubhouse. He's managing the vibes right? The vibes are so good. That's all we hear about this team. It's the reason why, right? Sometimes a good manager, Damon, as you know, knows how to talk to people, right? A good manager isn't just a bad person that just makes you feel bad about yourself all the time and just always does that. A good manager inspires you. He makes you want to work harder for him. He does not make you want to absolutely quit on him and tell him to go F himself, right? So that's the reason why Torey is a good manager and other people aren't, right? And so it's about handling people. It's about knowing people. And that's why Torey is beloved. That's why people that play for Torey play their goddamn hearts out for him, right? So, I mean, and that's, we're seeing that this season. This team has no quit in them, especially lately. And this was another one of those nights where they just didn't have, they didn't have the quit.
Yeah. I mean, they didn't, and they've been doing that consistently down this stretch where they've been playing well, where they've been winning a lot of games late. How about Pavin? The patience from Pavin Smith to take a walk there with Edwin Diaz coming in and you know, like that,
and kind of setting the tone, right? For then, like,
of course, Jerry walks because that's how it works.
Yeah.
And then the second Jerry walked, it was like, okay, Corbin Carroll's hitting a bomb.
And that's what happened. So, all right. Well, we have more from Chase Field for those of you that desire more of Jesse Friedman. We will have him join us here shortly, of course. But first, we thank you guys so much for being here. Make sure you subscribe to the PHNX Sports YouTube channel. If you have not subscribed to the channel yet, do so now. Sign up for notifications. That way you don't miss whenever we go live. Hit the like button. Of course, that's for my self-esteem and a little bit for Damon for all of his hard work. Of course, if you're listening on the audio podcasting side, make sure you subscribe on your favorite audio podcasting app. Blah, I can't speak right now. Audio podcasting app. And leave us a 5-star review, even though I can't speak words sometimes. Also, check out our friends at Chicken and Pickle, by the way. Our friends at Chicken and Pickle are an incredible facility out there in Glendale. You can sign up for our Cardinals tailgates that we're having out there at Chicken and Pickle, Damon. It's going to be a good time. It's going to be a good time right there in the shadow of State Farm Stadium.
They're going to be giving away Pit Boss grills at every single one of those things, Derek. I'm not kidding. I wish I was kidding.
Is this like a no? Like we can't win those because if I will be at every one regardless. But
I know that's exactly what
to be there.
I was just about to say. I wish I was kidding because it makes me jealous because I want to enter to win all of them, but I can't because I work for this company.
Yeah,
and they said
it would be a bad look.
Totally off the table. Yeah. But I mean, that's a lot of Pit Boss grills to give away.
Yeah.
What, and you're going to have a pretty good shot if you go out there, like a pretty good shot at a very expensive grill. So I mean, I would recommend it if you can swing it.
Highly recommend. Also, it's just a great place to go, by the way. We know that because we've had our pickleball tournaments over there. We also have our trivia night over there. If you're new to pickleball, they have newbie nights, which are perfect just for you. Get on the courts with other people who are new and get ready to learn a fun game that's really easy. And honestly, I like at my age, I don't even like playing sports that I used to like to play anymore, but I love me some pickleball. So instructed and facilitated play is all included with the newbie night. Plus, every participant receives a $10 Chicken and Pickle gift card. So head to chickenandpickle.com to see all the fun you can have at their Glendale location. And let me tell you, it is an incredible place to have any event that you need to have, even if you're not even interested in the pickleball. Just go with your group, your party. There's all sorts of fun to be had over there, all sorts of things to do. And again, a wonderful facility to have your events at. Also, check out our friends at Bet365. Of course, Bet365 has 90 million users worldwide, and there's a very good reason for that. They pioneered live in-game betting, and they still offer the widest range of games and markets available for live in-game betting across 78 sports. Plus, right now, if you're a new customer, you can sign up and use our code there of Bet365, PHNX Bet365. When you do sign up, deposit $10 and choose either between a bet and get offer where you can place a $5 bet or more and receive $150 in bonus bets, or a first bet safety net offer where you can place up to $1,000 and receive your qualifying bet if your bet loses, and you'll receive a matched refund in bonus bets. With the Bet365 baseball early payout offer, you're a winner if your team goes up by 5 runs. So again, that's another thing with Corbin hitting all these home runs. You never know when the Diamondbacks are going to be up by 5 and you get that instant payout. parlay and same game parlay selections will be marked as winners as well. So go right now, download the Bet365 app, use our code of PHNX365 when you sign up, choose your offer, and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or over and physically located in Arizona. If you're someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, text NEXT STEP to 53342, or visit problemgambling.az.gov. Well, before we move on, Damon, I know we've had some FCC stuff or whatever. Do we have any
we actually did have a political ad we had to run.
Political ads to run.
Yeah,
oh my God,
unfortunately.
I'm getting tired of these, but they do make really good points, I think.
Some of them are pretty informative. Let's see if this one is.
What do we got?
When it comes to the election for PHNX mayor, there's only one real choice, and that choice isn't Greg Esposito. But don't just take our word for it. Listen to the man himself.
You vote for my opponent, Derek Montilla. I encourage you.
Let's listen back to that one more time.
You vote for my opponent, Derek Montilla. I encourage you.
If he doesn't even trust himself to be the mayor of PHNX, why should you trust him? Espo, he's not just radical, he's dangerous. And even he knows that he can't be allowed to win.
You vote for my opponent, Derek Montilla. I encourage you.
Ethical Standards and PHNX Officials is responsible for the content of this advertising.
That's wild. I did not expect him to concede like that.
He
Damon.
said that? I must have missed that.
It was on today's PHNX Sun show where, again, another one of those ads aired. Something about his crazy conspiracy theories, his tinfoil hat club. I don't know. Espo is a crazy person, so I really don't keep track of all of the insane things he says. But whatever this group is, they definitely have been keeping track. And
the watchdogs of society.
It's the watchdogs of society. The ethical, what is it? The ethical standards of PHNX officials. That's a funny acronym. That's a funny acronym. Well, we need to move on now. Of course, no further ado. Most of the time we make them, we keep them in a little box and make them wait until the third segment. But let's bring him in. It's the trader himself, Benedict Freeman. Jesse, here to allegedly be on my side for a little while, and then he's going to turn around and side with Espo. I don't know, but welcome in, Jesse. Big night for Corbin Carroll. Big night for the Montilla campaign as well, according to those attack ads. But more importantly, Corbin Carroll's 2 home run night. Just this team can't stop coming back from behind. Nope, you're muted. Yeah, there's no. See, this is the Esposito campaign, just kind of personified right here. Just,
there we go. Now you got me.
Much better. Yeah.
All right. I just wanted to start out by saying that, based on some of the press that I'm seeing on Espo's side, I'm now leaning toward running as an independent. Still a little bit undecided, Derek. Maybe I will join your ticket and run as vice mayor.
That door's closed. I already brought on Bradley. It's Montilla Bradley 2024. I'm proud to stand with Archie, and I look forward to my new vice mayor not stabbing me in the back at the first chance that he gets. But
that's crazy. That's crazy. He thought he could just jump back on.
Just jump back after seeing some of the new information that's been released. I mean, there's a lot. There are 500 more of those coming. That's just the tip of the iceberg as far as those attack ads are going. But Jesse, what a night for Corbin Carroll. 2 home runs, including his second career grand slam.
Yeah, I mean, I tweeted it out a little while ago. Corbin Carroll hit 2 home runs in his first 87 games this year. That is not a small sample size, Derek. 87 games is more than half of the major league season. And Corbin had 2 home runs through 87 games. I believe that runs through July the 6th. At that point, we were, having conversations about whether Corbin would hit a single home run this season at home, whether he would break double digits in home runs this season. At that point, it did not really seem like a guarantee that he would. And now you look up and he has 17 homers on the season, and he hit 25 last year. Like, he very well, at the pace he's going right now, could wind up with 25 again this season. From the beginning of the year and in those early couple of months when Corbin was really struggling, felt that, he very well could bounce back. I think we all expected him to bounce back on some level, but you get so far into the season with an OPS that starts with a 5, and you feel like the end of season numbers, even if you finish strong just aren't really going to be there. And,
Yeah.
you know, maybe Corbin doesn't finish with the 870 OPS that he had last year. He still has a ways to go. But at this point, you're looking at a guy who's been, I believe, a slightly above league average hitter for the season. And that's a testament to just what he's been able to accomplish here over the last month and a half. And it hasn't just been that he's been productive. It's also been his clutch factor, his ability to come through and hit these home runs in some very timely spots. And there's no greater example of that than the grand slam with 2 outs that he hit tonight in the 8th inning against, of course, one of the better closers in baseball, in Edwin Diaz.
And he was really struggling. So it's like, I'm not going to give Edwin Diaz all the credit to Corbin, because Edwin Diaz couldn't find the strike zone. And
yeah,
you match that up, where a pitcher naturally gets desperate to try to not walk another guy with Corbin's streak that he's been on. I mean, 36 straight games where he's reached base safely, and he has you said 17 home runs. So 15 of those home runs have happened since July 7th. Like, the man is just, he's been incredible, especially lately, right? I mean, 3 home runs in his last 2 games, and he's just really dialed in. So it happened, and it's exciting that it happens, because, they bring Edwin Diaz in for that, 4 out save, and, doesn't exactly go their way for the New York Mets there. But let's take a look at the count presented by Desert Financial Credit Union, because this game, of course, was a little bit of a wild one. Diamondbacks outscored the Mets 8-5. They out hit the Mets 9-6. They were 3 for 7 with runners in scoring position to the Mets 2 for 5. Diamondbacks had 4 extra base hits to the Mets 3, which that extra base hit ended up being very, very important. And then, of course, expected batting average now, Jesse. I don't know if you've been here for this yet, but it's a very exciting moment in our stats. XBA now on the board, 272 for the Diamondbacks to 242 for the Mets. The crowd shamed us and made fun of hard hit percentage to the point where it went away. And the minute we took it away, this entire audience just was infuriated that hard hit percentage was gone. But this is what we live with now. And the Diamondbacks, this is what Diamondbacks are now, a team that you never know when they are going to come back. And honestly, like, this was another one of those games that, even though they were down, I don't think many Diamondbacks fans lost hope when they were down by 1 run, especially after seeing what they did, late last night, that they couldn't come back late here again against this Mets team.
Yeah, I mean, if you're really seriously doubting this team when they're down 1 run going into the 7th inning, like, I don't really know what to tell you at this point, because it almost feels to me, Derek, and granted, I don't really have any concrete numbers to back this up, but it almost feels to me like it is the exception for the Diamondbacks to not come back in a situation like this. Like, it almost feels like it would be surprising for the D-backs to be down by a run going into the 7th inning and not find a way to claw their way back as they did today. That's just been the narrative for this team here over these past few weeks, where they just find ways to win games, and they're finding ways to win games, of course, without 3 of their best players, and Christian Walker and Ketel Marte and Gabriel Moreno. They're continuing to find ways to win games, and they did it again today. And this was shaping up. I mean, if the Diamondbacks had been unable to come back in this one, it was shaping up to be one of the more brutal losses of the season. I mean, you've got Eduardo Rodriguez. I'm sure you guys have touched on this. You've got Erod perfect through 4 innings, and then things just totally fall apart for him in the 5th. The Mets claw their way back, tie the game at 4. And then the way that they took the lead was not great for the D-backs, right? It's Starling Marte bunting his way on, stealing second, advancing to third on a ground out, scoring on a shallow sac fly on a tag that was pretty clearly not played well by Adrian Del Castillo. He should have been more aggressive rather than sort of waiting for Starling Marte to come to him. And that looked like it might be the difference in this game. And yet again, the Diamondbacks find a way to come back.
Well, and again, outside of that, grand slam, the Diamondbacks didn't add much else on. If Corbin Carroll wouldn't have come through for this team in that moment, this probably would have been one of the most heartbreaking losses of this stretch, at least, like taking us back to those early days of April and May, where we experienced quite a few heartbreaking, losses over that time frame, right? I still think still have nightmares about that Braves series, Jesse. I still can't get over it. But of course, that reality that we live in is Corbin Carroll was the hero tonight. And of course, there's no doubt that he is our king snake of this game. 2 for 5 tonight, 2 home runs, 5 RBI, second career grand slam. And again, just absolutely on fire. And I mean, you love to see it because you know how much this guy loves baseball. You know how much Corbin Carroll loves to play this game. And to be honest, his struggles early on, I felt like were more heartbreaking than other people on the team because, you know, he was so good last year and you just kind of could feel the confusion, the him kind of being lost as to what exactly was wrong. And it's so great to see him back, you know, being this player that we kind of knew he was and felt confident that he could get back to being.
Yeah, I mean, in this stretch since July 7th that we keep referencing, Corbin has 15 home runs in that span, and he has 39 hits. So 15 of his 39 hits since July 7th have gone over the fence. That's almost half. That's about 40%, which is utterly outrageous. It's just been, you know, for a while there, it was Corbin, you know, hitting some home runs, but things still didn't quite look the same. He was still popping up a little more than you'd like, rolling over the top a little more than you'd like. And gradually it feels like he's getting back to the guy who, you know, is still hitting boatloads of home runs, but is also finding his way on base at a little bit higher of a clip, more in line with what you saw a year ago. And the timing here has been fantastic, right? I mean, with the Diamondbacks losing those key players that I mentioned earlier, you needed other guys to step up. You know, Josh Bell was only going to have 1,000 OPS for so long, most likely after coming over. We've seen him slow down a bit. Jake McCarthy has been outstanding, but you kind of figured he might slow down a little bit. And we've seen a little bit of that recently. But, you know, as those other guys have maybe started to struggle a little bit, you've had Corbin Carroll continuing to be what he's been over the last month and a half. And Jock Peterson, of course, also played a big role tonight with that homer. He continues to be outstanding. So they found ways to win even without those three key guys.
And I tried to tell you, Jesse, about my wife bringing home animals and me not wanting to get attached to them. It's happened. I love Luis Guillorme, and I don't want to give him back. I want to adopt him, and I want to keep him here forever, right? Like, this is a guy that was sitting at home, and, you know, tonight, I know it's just an at-bat. I tweeted about it. I talked about it earlier, but he just absolutely battled in that first at-bat that he had to give the Diamondbacks their first run there in the second inning. And, I mean, it was just something that you don't really see out of a lot of guys on this team outside of maybe Geraldo Perdomo at times. Jock Peterson, too, gives him some very quality at bats where he kind of sits in there and battles and takes what's given to him. And yeah, he might end up on base with a single or whatever, but he still like worked the count and he made the pitcher work and he saw a lot of pitches. And it's just a lot of information being picked up from that pitcher. And you do a lot for your team when you can do that. Guillorme was showing that veteran, you know, kind of that veteran experience by being up there. And like, it felt like he kind of got the offense, you know, kick-started there early on. And he just continues to be another great pickup for this team, you know, while they're dealing with all of these injuries that you brought up.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. That was, you know, obviously not quite as pivotal as Corbin's at bat in the 8th inning, but one of the hinge points of this game for sure. I mean, you had put a little bit of pressure on Luis Severino in that frame, but you hadn't actually pushed a run across yet. And you have Guillorme going up there, just fouling off tough pitch after tough pitch and eventually knocking that single to the opposite field. It was a 9-pitch at bat. It was part of a 35-pitch inning for Luis Severino. And this all came a day after the Diamondbacks didn't draw a single walk, right? And that's been a trend for this team throughout the season, is that they draw walks. They work the count. They have deep they work some deep counts, and we saw that team sort of come back today. And Guillorme was a great example of that in that spot.
Well, we have some amazing super chats from our friends here in the live chat. Dante Ortiz says Corbin murdered Diaz to get back at Frank the Tank. Hopefully, I mean, does this mean Paul Sewald is right again? Because if that's the case, we'll take it. Kellen Bradshaw says, I want to give Corbin a little smooch. I think we all want to smooch Corbin Carroll just a little bit. Bit varying degrees, some more than others, but I mean, I think we all want to give him a little kiss. Johnny Walker, again, I won't disclose how long we've been friends because Damon frowns upon that, but thank you for your super chat. He says, go D-backs. And of course, Piece of Yoshi says, are we going to talk about the weird McCarthy stolen base call? Jesse, yeah, let's talk about it.
Yeah, I was trying to sort of take a poll around the press box of like what everyone thought of this play. We didn't wind up asking Torey about it after the fact because it wasn't really very relevant in terms of how the game ended. But yeah, maybe we'll circle back to it with him tomorrow and see what he thought of it. My understanding is that maybe the Mets thought that Jake McCarthy like his movement was a little bit odd after he saw the ball go into center field. I don't know if they thought that he never touched second base in the first place, or if somehow based on that odd movement, they thought that he needed to touch the base again before going to third. Like he had maybe started off toward first base and then had to retouch second. I don't know if that even would have applied in a situation like that though. So yeah, suffice it to say, all of us were puzzled and didn't really understand why the Mets challenged that play. It looked to me like they just thought that Jake McCarthy didn't touch second base, and he very clearly did touch second base. So they wound up burning their challenge really early in this game.
So sometimes you swing and miss, not just at the plate, but on your challenges. And that was definitely the case there. Of course, if you guys are already diehards, we thank you for being diehards. You're the best. If you want to join the family, you want to get in on this whole political election craziness that's going on, join us over here at gophnx.com. You get all of Jesse's articles. You get all of our content, access to our Discord lounge, which is the best place to be an Arizona sports fan, plus a free piece of merchandise from the phnxlocker.com. Every year you're a member, you get a membership card, you get discounts to our events, and so much more. So check out the Die Hard membership and join us over here. We're having a great time. I don't know if you guys saw, but we just opened up Dallas. So we have a new city that we're both a part of, but that we have to fight with now, because I don't know if you remember the World Series last year, but yeah, it seems like we can't get away from these Rangers. Also, we'll be talking here a little bit about what everyone had to say from the clubhouse. But first, I want to let you guys know to stop by Circle K. Jesse, I know you haven't drank enough water. I know you're thirsty. Stop by Circle K on your way home. It's America's thirst stop. Get yourself any size Polar Pop or Froster for just 79 cents between now and September 3rd, which isn't a lot of time. I mean, their price won't skyrocket, don't get me wrong. But again, I feel like the Frosters are priceless because, again, I negotiated for that in my contract instead of higher pay. And of course, with them only being 79 cents a piece, they said, yes, sure, whatever. And they called me an idiot or something in the negotiation. I don't know, but that's because 79 cents is not a lot of money. And of course, you should go out and get yourself a wonderful drink right now. You can also join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit circlek.com for details. But tomorrow is the day. It's the anniversary of the Inner Circle, 40 cents off at Circle K. So make sure to stop by, fill your car up. I purposefully waited to fill up my car, and now I've been budgeting my gas very carefully for the last 24 hours until tomorrow. So if you're like me, you might walk a fine line, but make sure to stop by Circle K, get yourself a drink, and get yourself 40 cents off gas tomorrow. Also, get yourself a great pair of sunglasses if you don't already have one. And I know what some people say out there, Jesse. I'm not immune to it. Some people buy those $5, $10 sunglasses because, as you may have heard them say, I'm going to lose them anyway, right? And why do that? Get yourself a quality pair of sunglasses that isn't going to cost you much more than that, from a company that makes durable sunglasses with quality optics, and all sorts of wonderful features, wonderful styles for you to choose from. Most importantly, though, if you lose your Shady Rays, even on day one, they will send you a new pair, no questions asked. And of course, that's what Shady Rays is all about. It's all about customer service. Their team always has your back with personal and fast support. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use code PHNX for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. All right, sir. Well, of course, I'm sure there was a lot of excitement in the clubhouse. What do you got tonight from the postgame show?
Yeah, I guess we got to start with the man himself. Here's Corbin Carroll talking about not only I guess it wasn't a walk-off, not only the go-ahead grand slam, but also the process of getting to this point and the remarkable turnaround that he's had this season.
First pitch, fastball out over, and then, good pitch, like wasn't really where I wanted it, and then threw me a slider. Ended up pretty middle.
Really?
And yeah, that was it.
Did you know it was gone off the bat?
I looked up at the exit velo and the launch angle in right field, and I was pretty sure.
So you're seeing that before the ball drops?
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta give it a look to see, Yeah, I mean, I didn't know off the bat, so I gave it a look.
Did you look on your 440 footer?
No, I was running a little bit. we got a big center field, so yeah, you can never be too sure.
How about the at bats before that?
Yeah, it's super grindy. Just very much we've been this whole year. A couple big walks, just take them what the pitcher gives and moving the line. So I thought that was very representative of who we've been as an offense.
I know we've talked about this a lot, but your turnaround this season, does May feel like it was 5 years ago, or how has this turnaround felt for you?
I mean, it feels good to play well. So I think the beginning of the year was very much a grind. It felt like I didn't take a breath until the All-Star break, really, and from there kind of was able to get my feet under me a little bit and come out and have a strong second half. But yeah, I mean, first half, I wouldn't say it feels like 5 years ago. I think there were some great lessons learned from it, and so I hope to keep it somewhat fresh.
The man looked at his exit velo and his launch angle. Jesse, I have never been more hyped about hearing what he saw, what he looked at after a home run. I love Corbin Carroll so much. I missed this. I missed the joyful Corbin Carroll telling us with this sincerity and this honesty about moments like this. This is so great.
Yeah, and of course, me being me, I just totally lit up in that moment. I was
bet you
oh
did.
my gosh, Corbin Carroll can tell if it's a home run based on the launch angle and the exit velo. This is the greatest thing I've ever heard in the Diamondbacks.
This is the greatest
clubhouse.
day of my whole life.
And I also thought it was very funny that on his first homer of the game, which was significantly farther, it went 440 feet. And he was like, yeah, no, on that one, I had to run because center field at Chase Field it's almost impossible to hit a home run in that area of the ballpark. So, just a huge day for Corbin. And you heard him talk a little bit there about the struggles early in the season and how he feels like he had some positive takeaways from that. And I think we all kind of figured that Corbin's struggling a little bit, maybe not for quite as long as he wound up struggling, but that going through a little bit of adversity might help him in the long run. It's something that he basically hasn't dealt with his entire baseball career, going all the way back to high school, through the minor leagues. It was just smooth sailing for him. So yeah, maybe in the end, this really does make Corbin better for the long haul.
Well, what else we got, Jesse?
Yeah, we also have Torey Lovullo, of course, talking about Corbin and specifically his turnaround and just kind of what has been the difference for him here over this last month and a half.
He has a great mentality, and that's a separator for him as far as I'm concerned. And when you don't have success, you start to make changes, and it takes a little bit of your confidence away from game to game, and that's just the ebb and the flow of making improvements and making adjustments year to year and month to month. But he's a fast learner. It was a matter of time before he figured it out. So I think it was a little bit of struggle that led to a little bit of loss of confidence. He spoke about that, I know, in San Diego earlier in the year, but he's really come out the other end because of the hard work and dedication and the belief that it was going to happen. And the beauty of Corbin is he has been the same person, the same baseball player, whether he's to me and his teammates and his expression on the field, whether he's had the 630 slug or the 330 slug. You just don't know it, and that's what makes him great.
And I think he's right. That's why that question about, does May feel like 5 years ago? Like, Corbin Carroll doesn't strike me as the kind of guy that actually does put the past completely behind him, right? Like, he's a very analytical person at times, and I feel like he's trying to, even in his times of success, maybe think back to when he was struggling and to like try to learn lessons even when things are going well, about times when he was struggling, right? So like, I know the baseball season is very, very long, and there's a lot of guys on this team that it's been like almost the tale of 2 seasons with them, especially when you start looking at their numbers after June. Like, it wasn't just one guy that came on after June. It was a lot of players that suddenly just found their way into playing good baseball. What's wild about this with Corbin with me right now, Jesse, is that like one of the things that I kind of, I guess, I just hypothesized, I didn't have anything to base it on, but just one of the things I wondered if the pressure early on was too much for Corbin Carroll. You spoke about how he's doing this right now without Christian Walker, without Gabby Moreno, without Ketel Marte in the lineup, and there is a lot of there's maybe more pressure on him now to perform than there was early in the season, considering how big of an offensive threat the guys that are missing actually are for this team. So, I mean, it's impressive that he's been able to kind of overcome all of that, pressure and really just lock in here for the last 2 months.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. Corbin was also specifically asked tonight about whether he's felt a little more pressure over these last few weeks to kind of carry the team, knowing that Walker's out and Moreno's out and Marte is obviously out as well. And Corbin said no, that he really hasn't felt that pressure. He talked during his post-game presser about the at-bats that we saw at times today and how this team has a knack for just finding ways to get on base. We've really seen that pretty much the entire season. And Eugenio Suarez, I guess we should also mention his name here. He's also carried a lot of the load as some of those other guys have been out. Obviously, this wasn't a great game for him, but we're still only a few days removed from him having 10 RBI in a 3-game series in Boston. That was a pretty big deal. And you look up at this point, Derek, and the Diamondbacks have scored 712 runs this year. The next highest run total in all of baseball belongs to the New York Yankees at 678. Not only are the Diamondbacks number 1 on that list, but they're kind of an outlier. There's 34 runs separating the first place Diamondbacks and the second place New York Yankees. That gap is wider than I think the gap between like second place and sixth place or something like that. So this offense has been just unbelievable.
Yeah. And Damon said it earlier in the show where like, it feels like with the offensive numbers we go over each and every night, right? We're constantly talking about the team leading Major League Baseball in this category or that category. Their 28 games with 2+ home runs is the most in Major League Baseball. And since August 1st, they lead Major League Baseball with 26 occurrences of 2 runs scored in the 6th inning or later. Again, the other team there with them was the Yankees, and they were close, but it's like, it's impressive that when you start to look at these categories that the Diamondbacks are leading Major League Baseball in, that they are doing it, against the best teams, or like they're doing it beyond the best teams in baseball. It's not expected, and I think again the power numbers especially are very unexpected for this team. The number of home runs they've hit, the fact that they're in that category or that conversation for a lot of the top categories in Major League Baseball was impressive. But I mean, they still have some concerns, right, with the injuries that they're experiencing. They're still missing guys, and I mean, we've still seen some instances where defense wasn't, exactly as we've come to be used to with this team, especially at first base without Christian Walker over there, but really with behind the plate, right? Like the play tonight was a perfect example of that.
It was, yeah, and that's another video that we can play here real quick. Obviously, it didn't wind up really making a difference in the outcome of this game with what Corbin did, but I did still think it was important to ask about the Adrian Del Castillo tag in that 6th inning that allowed the Mets to score the go-ahead run, a run that it looked very much like might be the difference in the game toward the end of this one. Here's what Torey had to say about that tag play at home plate.
talking about that, Banny and I in my office. We practice fast tagging all the time. Fast tagging is an art, and we talk about it, we practice it, and it makes a difference. It's as crazy as that sounds. Fast tag in spring training, fast tags in some of your early work here. Banny does a really good job with the catchers receiving throws from the outfield. He hits some balls from the outfield where they work on fast tags. So yes, I thought it was maybe just he thought he had him because of the timing. You know, that spacing, and you could see where he is, and you just like lay the glove down. But in this day and age, you can't take anything for granted. The swipe tag in and out of there if the throw beats him is not the case anymore. So umpire made the right call. We just got to be a little bit better.
And of course, Marte made an excellent play there, sliding in. We've seen our players do that at the plate this season, right? So it's unfortunate, but like you said, in the long run, the Diamondbacks still win. The outcome is not impacted by that one particular play. Just an example of, again, how much we miss Gabby Moreno in more than one way.
Yeah.
We missed his arm back there. We miss his ability to make those kind of plays aggressively at the plate, when guys are coming in to score. And it's Moreno is a different level, even though he's not very old himself. He doesn't have that much experience himself. He plays like a vet back there at times.
He does. Yeah. And I think, although the outcome tonight was obviously great and Adrian Del Castillo, I mean, it'd be hard to really fault the guy too much or,
Right.
be upset with his performance to date. I think his batting average is still like 350 or something,
Mm-hmm.
but there are still some valid concerns here, especially as you look ahead to October. If the Diamondbacks are going to roster Adrian Del Castillo over Jose Herrera, this is of course assuming that Gabby Moreno is able to come back from that groin injury before the playoffs. If they're going to roster Del Castillo over Herrera, they've got to have a certain comfort level with his defense. And
Correct.
It's not to say that he can't get there or that I think he's so far away from that point. It's not like Jose Herrera is necessarily the best defensive catcher in the world.
Yeah, but you trust him back there more over a playoff run than you do a rookie in Adrian Del Castillo. And let's be honest, Herrera, Gabby's injury is one of those injuries that could be re-aggravated easily. And that's something that you might not want to, mess around with as far as who you're going with the backup. Like it's hard not to want to roster ADC with how he's hitting the ball. But, much like we constantly see throughout the baseball season, it feels at times like guys come back down to earth. It feels like maybe, that might help happen over the next month. We might see his numbers kind of come back down to more reasonable numbers for, somebody making his debut, not just hitting, 375 constantly with a 1500 OPS, but this is one of those situations where they do. Yeah. Right. Like if they do get Gabby back, they do have to make the right decision here, just in case you have a worst case scenario happen. And you do need to go with whoever your backup is throughout the run of your playoffs.
Yeah, and I think it wasn't just the tag play. It was also he allowed a stolen base to Marte, and obviously Marte got a good jump. That's not necessarily all on Del Castillo, but opposing base stealers have gone 15 for 16 with Del Castillo behind the plate so far. That's a little concerning, and it's something that we wondered about when he came up to the big leagues. We've kind of had this sense for a while that catching base stealers wasn't really a strength for Del Castillo, even though he's gotten better at that. And the other aspect of this is pitch calling. And I think there was maybe a learning moment for Del Castillo in this one as well, in that regard, where when Eduardo Rodriguez was really going through it in that fifth inning, you probably would have liked to see Del Castillo go out there and visit with his pitcher and try to at least kind of slow the moment down. And Torey was asked about that post game as well. And he took the blame for it himself. He said that it's really his responsibility to kind of come along Del Castillo and call that himself and sort of make Del Castillo go out there in that moment. But that's another thing where I remember when Gabby Moreno first joined this team last season, it seemed like his instincts in that regard were really good, where he was quick to go out there and visit with guys when they were struggling. Del Castillo, I think, waited a little bit too long. Eventually, Torey sent Brent Strom out there. That was after Harrison Bader had already tied the game with that 2-run homer. So some learning moments. Del Castillo still in the first few weeks of his career. These things are going to happen, but the D-backs don't have a huge margin for error, especially as you look ahead to October.
Piece of Yoshi, thank you for your super chat. I have no idea what this is in context to anymore, but he said he fell off the bag to the first base side.
I think it was
Jake McCarthy.
Yeah, I think that's the McCarthy play. And yeah, I guess if McCarthy fell off the bag to the first base side, then yeah, they're maybe thinking that he has to retouch second base or something along those lines. I think I probably will ask Torey about that pregame tomorrow. So come back and join us for our postgame show tomorrow. Maybe we'll have a little more clarity on what Torey's perspective was on that. But yeah, all of us in the press box were fairly confused in the moment. So we'll try to get more information on that.
All right. Well, we will be back tomorrow with another postgame show. Of course, tomorrow is also our big PHNX fantasy draft, which I'm not sure if you heard, but I won the fantasy football league last year. I'm staying humble about it. I'm not trying not to bring it up too much, but tomorrow is a very important day for the rest of these losers that they try to get some sort of retribution against me. And I look to repeat as your champion, but we will be back with another episode of Postgame Show after tomorrow's 12:45 start. So join us for that. And of course, Jesse, I know Damon's going to say something about me, talking or bragging too much about the fantasy football leg. Of course, that's a lie. It's a known lie. And Damon's a known liar, but the numbers, they never lie. So what do you have for tonight's number that doesn't lie?
Yeah, tonight's number, let's go ahead and put it up on the screen. Yeah, it's 638. This is Corbin Carroll's slugging percentage going back to that July 7th date that we keep referencing. That's a pretty good number, Derek. That's a pretty big number. And you're talking about almost a 2-month sample size at this point. So, how many times this year have we had the conversation of like, is Corbin Carroll back? And we've said that a lot, and it feels like it wasn't really true for a while. Now it kind of feels like it's true. Now it feels like you can sort of expect Corbin the rest of the season to be something like the player that he was last year. And that's not to say there aren't going to be some bumps along the way or that it will all be perfect, but this is a very different player than we saw early in the season. And I think even his numbers at this point don't really do justice to kind of what I would expect from him moving forward.
Did you have any injury updates for us, by the way, before we move forward? I know some information has gotten out there about Ketel and Christian Walker potentially coming back on the same day, maybe for that Giant series.
Yeah, again, Torey didn't give maybe as many specifics as you would have liked today, but he did say that he was asked about whether Ketel Marte and Christian Walker could come back during this homestand, whether this homestand might be a little too soon for them. And he said, yeah, I think so. He said, I think so, as in it is probably too soon. So I don't think we're going to see Christian Walker or Ketel Marte in the Dodgers series, which of course is a big deal. I mean, this Dodgers series is really important. After winning this game, I didn't see the outcome of the Dodgers game today. If the Dodgers lost, they did win. Okay. So you're Padres still looking at the Padres did lose. I saw that. So you're still looking at a 3-game deficit. But if you go into that series with a 3-game deficit and you even just take 3 out of 4, that 3-game deficit becomes a 1-game deficit. So that series is really important. It doesn't sound like Ketel or Walker will be a part of that. However, Torey also was asked separately about the team's plans for roster expansion, which is September 1st. That's this Sunday. And he mentioned that bringing in Christian Walker or Ketel Marte could be a possibility. So I wouldn't expect to see those guys in the Dodgers series, but it sounds like there's at least an outside chance that we see maybe one of those guys back on Sunday.
No chance.
So yeah, not a ton of specifics there. We'll just kind of have to wait and see.
This is Jesse. This is why we say the numbers don't lie. We can't say Jesse doesn't lie. We can't say Torey doesn't lie. We don't trust any of you because the numbers are the only thing that tell the truth around here. But I will say maybe some advantage to just not seeing those guys right before the playoffs start. I mean, I know it's probably not.
Maybe that feels like a bit of a reach.
I guess it's more of a silver lining more than like saying like they're doing it intentionally, right? But like there is sometimes with this kind of stuff, there might be a little bit of something. I mean, again, you try to spin it in the best way, and there could be something there, especially we never know how the playoffs are going to line up and where the Diamondbacks are going to end up, who they're going to play. So, oh, well, we will see what happens, but we will be back here again, like I said, with another post-game show after tomorrow's 12:45 start. So make sure to join us for that. In the meantime, you can follow us on Twitter. I am at @cap_caveman with a K. Of course, Jesse is at Jesse N. Friedman. The people's producer himself is Damon Dog at Damon Dog. That's DAWG. We are Damon's Dogs. Bark, bark.
Bark, bark.
Our show is at PHNX_DBacks, but all roads do lead to at PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We thank you guys so much for your time. We thank Corbin Carroll for being so good at baseball. We will see you back here for another post-game show tomorrow. In the meantime, have yourselves a wonderful night. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it's so much more fun when you go from thinking Corbin Carroll is back to just admitting Corbin Carroll is him.
We all silly like the mayor.